Hey there, Jessica Coulter, and we're going to be talking all about organelles and their functions. So if you are ever curious what does what inside of a cell, or maybe you've just started the discussion about animal cells, or you're more advanced and you're talking about eukaryotic cells, then this tutorial is all for you. So I hope you are ready to learn all about these organelles, what an organelle is, and what does what inside of a cell. So again, I'm Jessica Coulter, the CEO and founder of Ace Cookie Tutoring. So happy to have you here and hope you're ready to learn. Alrighty, so to start our discussion about cells, here is an image for you. It has a lot more organelles labeled than we're going to talk about today, but just want to make sure you and I are talking about the same thing, and this is something that you have seen before in a book or you're ready for. Now this diagram is going to be the one we're referring to through the tutorial, so it's a lot simpler, doesn't have as many things. So we're going to start this more as an introduction and an advanced course. So maybe this will be a review for you, or again, if you're just starting this talk in your science classes, it's a great way to get introduced to the different parts of a cell. So before we really get going and discussing which organelle does what function, just want to give you Merriam-Webster's definition of an organelle, which is a specialized cellular part that has a specific function and is considered analogous to an organ. So if that is a little over your head, basically just know that we have organs in our bodies, and each organ does a certain function. So imagine a cell, which is, really small, having a bunch of organs inside of it. So each organ has a duty, a job. So just like we have organs, the organs inside of a cell are called organelles. So organ, organelle, and just remember cells are really small, so their functions, their parts that have functions are also really small. Alrighty, so now that we all know what we're going to be looking at for the rest of this presentation, in case you have a project or assignment or something that you're working on now, or maybe you just think one-on-one help would be better for you or your child, feel free to book a lesson on my website, acecookie-tutoring.com/book online. That's the link on your screen. So definitely would love to work with you or your child one-on-one and explain this to you in person and help you learn whatever you might not be understanding. Okay, so the first organelle we're going to talk about is the nucleus. It is probably the most important organelle in the entire cell, so that's why we're going to start with it. And just as a side note here, nucleus contains the nucleolus. So I'm going to go ahead and circle the nucleus for you. Nucleolus is that black spot in the center, okay, that very dense area. And do know nucleus is the brain of the cell, and it contains the DNA. So without the nucleus, we wouldn't have any way to pass on the genetic material. And here we've got a picture of the nucleus, just kind of a more in-depth picture for you. So again, whole thing what we call the nucleus, and then that mass there in the very center, that's the nucleolus. So now we're ready to go ahead and move on to the next organelle. Alright, second organelle to discuss today is the mitochondria. So that is just one of these. You see in the diagram that it's called mitochondrion. So it's just singular versus plural there, don't get confused. Now realize here, mitochondria, they look like kidney beans. That's something you might hear. They are this reddish color, and then when we look at the up close image here, you'll see why some people say they look like kidney beans. And the most important thing to know about mitochondria is that they are the powerhouse of the cell, and that is because they generate ATP. So again, don't want to go into too many details today, just know that ATP is used for energy. It's what these cells generate and the body uses. And just a quick side note for you that's kind of fun. Mitochondria are passed down from your mother. So the mitochondria that you have are the exact same ones your mom has. So just something kind of fun to know about the mitochondria, which are the powerhouse of the cell. Hey there, just want to check in real quick, make sure this is making sense for you, and let you know that if you're struggling with some other classes as well, that I do offer a lot of tutorials on a variety of subjects. So just check out my tutorial page on my website, acecookie-tutoring.com/tutorial, and there you'll find videos just like this one, but also instead of just science, you'll find math and English and social studies and all sorts of other good stuff for test taking and study tips. So again, hope you're enjoying the video, and we'll move on to some more organelles. Alright, next organelle we're going to talk about are vacuoles, and I think they are the absolute easiest to locate in a diagram because they're usually the biggest. So vacuoles just look like a big old sack here, so that's at the top of our diagram. And in this case, it's kind of easy to find them. You can just color code. Okay, so vacuoles, large sacs, and the important thing to realize here is they're used for storage. Now, depending on the type of cell is the type of storage, but it's safe to say they would contain water and waste, and then in some cells they also have food. So, just depends on the type of cell. For this video, we're only talking about animal cells or eukaryotic, so don't get confused. And another important note about vacuoles, they do not contain cytoplasm. So we'll go into more details about cytoplasm in the next slide. Okay, so let's talk about cytoplasm. Now this one is not an organelle according to some people, but it is an important part of the cell, so I want to make sure we talk about that today. Now when I say cytoplasm, hopefully you realize here in our diagram that cytoplasm is everywhere. Okay, so the way I always kind of remember what cytoplasm is I think about a balloon. So if a cell is a balloon and it's full of water, that water is the cytoplasm. Okay, so everything in the cell, all the organelles are basically suspended in this water or the cytoplasm. Now remember, there's no cytoplasm in a vacuole. So it's just kind of out there floating around, moving around, and it's an important part of the cell. And when I say moving around, I say that because if you had that balloon full of water and you had like little beads inside of that balloon, then those beads would only be able to move around because of the water. Well, cytoplasm is the same way. The organelles can move in the cell, and different things can happen within the cytoplasm. Different actions, different processes can happen because of the cytoplasm. So again, not too many details, just know cytoplasm is inside of a cell, and it's not necessarily one tiny little organelle. It's just kind of the wet stuff or the liquid inside of a cell. Okay, so now we're ready for the last organelle we're going to talk about today. So some of you might be happy or clapping and be excited you made it this far. So cell membrane, or you might know it as the plasma membrane. This one's also pretty simple, and it surrounds the cell. So basically the outside of the cell is the cell membrane. And it's important because it tells the cell what's allowed to come inside of the cell and what's allowed to leave the cell. And here is a picture for you just to give you an idea. And like I said, we're not going to go into details about what the layers of the cell membrane are made of or how things move in and out. Just know cell membrane is kind of the decision maker, and that the cell membrane is made up of 2 layers. So, important to know, animal cells have a cell membrane. Alright guys, that is everything I have for you, so just want to give you a little bit more info on the next slide, and then you are free to go. You made it to the last slide of the presentation, so thank you so much for listening. Hope this was a great introduction to some of the organelles within a cell. Do know there will be another tutorial that features even more organelles. So in the meantime, if you're looking for some one-on-one help and would like to schedule a lesson, just go to acecookie-tutoring.com/book online. We'd love to work with you in person or online, whatever you're more comfortable with. And next thing, do you know I have paid resources available. So just go to acecookie-tutoring.com/shop. I do make different activities and worksheets and all sorts of fun stuff to practice my information that I present in tutorials on my website. And finally, if you would like to join my email list, just send me an email to acecookie-tutoring@gmail.com and let me know that you'd like to join our list so I can send you our email newsletters as well as our monthly specials. And we are also on Facebook, so just search for Ace Cookie Tutoring on Facebook and become a follower today. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you in the next video.